Jeremiah 7, verse 1, it says, the word that came to Jeremiah from Yahweh, saying, stand in the gate of Yahweh's house, and proclaim there this word, and say, hear the word of Yahweh, all you of Judah, who enter in at these gates to worship Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, the God of Israel, amend your ways and your doings, and I will cause you to dwell in this place. Do not trust in these lying words, saying, the temple of Yahweh, the temple of Yahweh, the temple of Yahweh are these. For if you thoroughly amend your ways and your doings, if you thoroughly execute judgment between a man and his neighbor, if you do not oppress the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, and do not shed innocent blood in this place, or walk after other gods to your hurt, then I will cause you to dwell in this place, in the land that I gave to your fathers forever and ever. The prophet Jeremiah was to give a message to the Israelites of what they were doing, their wickedness. They were saying the temple of Yahweh. They were putting their trust that they had the temple, and that was like their safety net, and therefore they could do what they want to do. But that was not to be the case. The land belonged to God, and if they did not start doing right, he was going to kick them out. Instead of using the authority they had to treat others right and to care for those in need, they were being oppressive. And notice they were told not to oppress the stranger or foreigner. There was one thing the Israelites knew from the law, that God loved the foreigner. And so God was putting that on the list as one of the reasons why he would kick them out of the land, oppressing the foreigner. And so God does not change. He's still viewing things the same way today. A lot of people talk about, we're going to take our country back and all this type of thing. Well, in reality, it's not your country. The land belongs to God. You're just tenants on his property. And he's the one to dictate the terms of your lease agreement. And one of the things is not to oppress the foreigner. Now, some will say, well, we got to protect our borders and everything. It's interesting, the same people that say that don't mind when their country goes and violates other people's borders, and not coming there to work or find a better living, but to bomb them and to steal their resources. They don't have a problem with that, whereas they don't want but at the same time, they don't want nobody violating their borders. Such hypocrisy. Yes, you may have borders, but that does not give you a license to oppress the foreigner. God is not going to accept any oppression of the foreigner. And we see in America right now, they got their concentration camps set up to do just that. And they've been doing that for a long time. And so even though they may claim the Lord Jesus Christ, they may claim, well, I'm Christian, or I got this pastor over here, and I go to this church or with this church, that doesn't mean anything. Jews were doing the same thing, the temple of God, the temple of God. The temple of Yahweh, they were saying, as though that's the safety net. Doesn't mean anything. If you're oppressing the foreigner, then you will receive God's judgment. And notice in verse 8, it says, behold, you trust in lying words that cannot profit. Will you steal, murder, commit adultery, swear falsely, burn incense to Baal, and walk after other gods whom you do not know, and then come and stand before me in this house, which is called by my name, and say, we are delivered to do all these abominations? Has this house, which is called by my name, become a den of thieves in your eyes? Behold, even I, have seen it, says Yahweh. So God doesn't care, based on this verse, what your what you claim, just because you're saying, I go to church or I'm a Christian, or you want to make up any kind of excuse you want to where you're treating the foreigner, putting them in these concentration camps, feeding them decrepit food and treating them in an inhumane way. This will bring God's judgment because he's letting you know this is his property. The earth is his footstool, it's not your property. And so you have an obligation to do as God says, to not oppress the foreigner, but to treat the foreigner with kindness. And Jesus shows in Matthew 25:31 through 46, how you treat the foreigner will determine your outcome, whether it be everlasting life or everlasting fire.